So, one of my viewers, and I want to make sure that he understands this, I did not remove the comment. YouTube removed certain comments for some reason. I don't know why, except to control what we see and hear, probably because YouTube is a Google affiliate. It's a Google subsidiary. However, a viewer of mine brought to my attention that there was an NFL player that had recently killed an entire family. A black NFL player that recently killed an entire family. And we're not hearing anything about that, are we? This just goes to the double standard in the news and to the coverage of things by the media outlets. Okay, they don't cover black on everybody crime. Okay, and again, I'm not saying this to disrespect black people or anything like that. In fact, one of the funny things is, what this reminds me of is everybody wants to know the motivation. They're saying this poor NFL player couldn't find a job and he wasn't going to get signed by an NFL team making his millions of dollars. So this was his last chance, and apparently he broke into this home, killed 5 people, and then killed himself. I don't know enough about the story to go in depth, but the fact of the matter is, this is the kind of reverse racism, which really there's only racism, that we don't see covered. This is what has me saying, the people that know what's going on in South Africa, that this country is slipping faster and faster into becoming South Africa, and we are very quickly becoming the Amerikaans. We are becoming the American version of the Afrikaners. That's what's going on here. We are being subjugated in our own country. The only main difference is, here, the white majority is stupid enough to go along with the bullshit. Hopefully that won't be forever. I do see the George Floyd thing and a lot of these riots that are going on being an OJ moment. What do I mean by an OJ moment? The OJ Simpson trial was a moment when white people thought one thing and black people thought another, and when the verdict was that he was innocent, white people kind of realized what was going on. Okay? They kind of realized, why are we feeling guilty about crap we didn't do? You know what I'm saying? Why are we falling for this narrative of the physically fit, muscular black man being the victim? Okay, and I'm not saying this to downplay black people or to insult black people. In fact, Chris Rock, who I'm going to leave a link to, what I want to point out is a lot of people want to know what the motivations are to these things. Like I was saying, the poor guy couldn't get a job. He couldn't work at Walmart, couldn't work at 7-Eleven, couldn't work at Pizza Hut, couldn't work as a janitor. I've had many jobs I didn't want to do, okay? He could do any number of jobs. He didn't have to play NFL football, okay? He didn't have to break into somebody's home and murder 5 people. And he didn't have to kill himself, okay? So the fact of the matter is, what's the motivation behind something like that? Why does there need to be a motivation? As Chris Rock said in an old stand-up routine about the Columbine massacre, whatever happened to crazy? That's what people aren't asking. Whatever happened to crazy? People don't need a motivation to do something. Some people just do stuff. And you will find that certain segments of the population, certain subgroupings of this population in the United States, just seem to do stuff a lot more than others. In fact, it's the slogan of one of the companies that they are so hell-bent on portraying, they're so hell-bent on doing free advertising for, after they loot these targets and what have you. Their symbol, Just Do It, is plastered all over these people. So what my point is that the motivation for these crimes, it's like the motivation when blacks were attacking Jews like crazy in the Bronx. What's the motivation? What's the motivation? What's the motivation? I will tell you what the motivation is somebody that went to a predominantly black job corps. The motivation is Jewish people are less likely to fight back than other groups of people. Okay, same thing goes for Asians and illegal Hispanic immigrants, which is why these groups these groups are in that area, in the same areas, the overlapping areas. And this is why these groups are victimized more than whites, is because they know, meaning the people that are perpetrating these crimes, that these groups, these Jewish people, these Asian people, these Hispanic people, they're not going to call the police. They're not going to make a fuss, and they're not going to fight back, because most of these people are wimps. And that's what's going on. Okay? That's the motivation. The motivation is they can do it. Nobody's opposing it. There is no more Biden crime bill. There's no more mandatory 3 strikes law. There's no consequences. So why not do it? Well, for you or me, for people that think normally, we don't want to behave that way because we realize that there are consequences, like you get shot by the police, or you end up getting arrested, or you end up losing your kid, or any number of things can come up for a normal person. But when you remove the legal ramifications and the consequences, there's no reason not to do this stuff. There's no social cohesion for people that don't see themselves as part of the greater society and never will. So what do you expect to happen? And that's all for this video. Check the links in the description, though. I gave a lot of links about what was going on, and I'm going to give some more links. I'm going to probably try and find some of the black on Jewish and black on Asian attacks and leave links to that in the description, too. Because these are not white supremacists attacking these Jews and these Asians and these illegal Mexicans and whatnot. These are not white Americans doing this. These are not white supremacists. These are mostly, or actually pretty much all, black Americans attacking Asians and Hispanic Americans, or Hispanic illegal migrants. And Asian illegal migrants, for the fact that they can easily victimize these people. And that's the bottom line. I mean, you don't have to be Colin Flaherty to understand this. And one of my commenters asked me what my view is on Colin Flaherty. Years ago, I made a video that nobody watched regarding Mr. Flaherty. And it was negative toward Flaherty. I think I called him a coward. And I still stand by that, actually, because I put a thing to Donald Trump and told Donald Trump to get rid of these people around him, these people that were damaging him, like Jared Kushner and Ivanka Kushner and Omarosa Pavarotti, or whatever the hell her name is. And I told the president, I said, you need to read the works of Colin Flaherty and the works of Dr. David Duke, Ph.D. Okay? Colin Flaherty did not like that. He told me off, told me I was his enemy, and blocked me. Which led me to get a little tiffed. Okay? And I made a video explaining to Colin Flaherty that whether or not he wants to be equated to David Duke, he will be equated to people like David Duke, Cynthia McKinney, and a whole bunch of other people that speak the truth. Okay? Now, Colin and I, now that I have a new Twitter account, Colin and I haven't had any problems, okay? Or I should say, not any blatant problems. His Trumpianism, he's called me out a couple times, and I've called him out a couple times on nonsense over Trump, okay? But nothing against him or me personally, okay? So that's how that works. What are my views on Colin Flaherty? Everybody should read his books. Everybody should tell everybody to read his books. If you see people, tell them, read Colin Flaherty's books. Look up Colin Flaherty. Watch Colin Flaherty. Put Colin Flaherty in the YouTube search bar. Put Colin Flaherty in the Google search bar. Put Colin Flaherty everywhere. Okay? Colin Flaherty, Colin Flaherty, Colin Flaherty. That's what I have to say about Colin Flaherty. Okay? What he's doing is wonderful. He is bringing attention to the disproportionate amount of crime being performed by a certain group of people against every other group of people, animals, and everything else in this country. And only Colin Flaherty is doing that at this point. Okay? And they can't ban his books as far as I know, at least not yet, but they might try and silence them. They might try and take them off. Like David Duke, I think you can only buy David Duke's books from David Duke's website at this point. But my point is, Colin Flaherty, Colin Flaherty, Colin Flaherty, Colin Flaherty. Tell everybody about Colin Flaherty. Okay, make sure everybody knows about his book, White Girl Bleed a Lot. Make sure everybody knows about the knockout game. Make sure everybody knows everything there is to know about Colin Flaherty. Colin Flaherty. And that's all for this video.